Hello. Welcome to another cruiser inspection in World of Warships. We're looking at the Tier 10 radar utility cruiser. Hang on a second, guys. What is that? Wait. I don't think I'm wearing my glasses. It's a battle. It's Welcome to another battleship inspection. Excuse me. I got confused because I had radar and I'm stealthy and I'm fast and I have really good torpedoes, and like only cruisers get really good torpedoes and only cruisers get radar typically, and typically cruisers have stealth and speed. No, it's a battleship, guys. Yes, I am in a battleship. Okay, yeah. Thor, tier 10 Thor. It's out. It's public. You can grind it for free. Just costs you time, which costs you days off your life. Free is a relative concept in this case. Thor is really fucking good. It is probably broken. Not broken in the traditional battleship way, which I guess is a moderate pity fuck. Thor is not imagine playing a cruiser because your cruiser dies if it looks at you, which I guess is a step in the right direction. Thor has 406mm guns, low caliber guns, according to Wargaming. You get 9 of them. You get good range. You get a good reload. 25-second base reload. We're taking reload on in this replay. We'll come back to that. And insanely fast shells. I believe the fastest shells on a battleship in the game that is currently released. So very easy to aim. However, you have normal battleship dispersion with 1.8 sigma. Read 3 turrets from a GK per salvo. The pen is nowhere near as good as incredible dispersion moment, as you've seen 2 shots in a row. We'll come back to that. Believe that. We'll come back to that. So yeah, you basically shoot, 3/4 of a GK salvo at the enemy ships every 25 seconds. And you have kind of like Montana effective pen. Even though the shells are fast as fuck, they gimp the pen because, God forbid, black ribbons occur on babies when they go flat to you. The ship has both very good and very troll armor. The ship is quite stealthy. The ship is fast. The ship has a diabolical speed boost. The ship has a 10-kilometer radar that synergizes very well with your default base reload. Of course, the speed boost is toggle on, toggle off, which is amazing. Unfortunately, this gimmick is just finding its way into more and more ships, which is very sad. So, Thor gimmicks, fastest shells in the game. Stealthy, good armor. Toggle speed boost that makes you go like 45 knots for no reason. 10-kilometer radar. And then the big one is the torpedoes. You get 8 torps per side. They're effectively gearing torps. 17,500 damage per hit. They have pretty good stealth. 8 seconds flat reaction time to the enemy. 8 torps per side for 16 total. They're fast, 70 knots. They great range, 15 km. Thoroughly the best torps on any battleship in the game as of right now. Probably by a long shot. After this, it's probably Njord, which has, torps that are maybe like 2/3 half as good as Thor torps. So, what is the playstyle of Thor? The playstyle of Thor is exactly what you're looking at me doing right here. Now, there's a caveat to that. The caveat to that is you're not a complete cuck piece of shit. Kiting and fidget spinning torps in spawn, which you can definitely do in the Thor. You can perma-kite in Thor. You can perma-span torpedoes at 15 kilometers. It can be funny. It's also very stupid. It's also very boring. The ship is not very good when you do that. What is the ship good at? The ship is good at basically being the battleship version of Petro. That is effectively what you want it to be doing. You want to always be on an island bow in, the way you would play Kremlin, but you randomly get a radar and torps. The way you would play Petro, but you randomly get torps. That is kind of the playstyle where Thor is best effectively used. That also makes the best effective use of the speed boost. This is not a speed boost to run away. This is not a speed boost to go fast and position early. This is a speed boost to basically catch people off guard and to aggressively reposition forward. Now, as you've noticed, we're going to go to the guns. The dispersion is trash. I mean, my God. This is the average Thor salvo that you're seeing right here. This salvo right here on Shikishima is the average Thor salvo. Now, assuming you're taking reload mod, we are going to look at 3 back-to-back consecutive solo randoms games. Why are we looking at 3? Well, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, I think Thor is best played as a get-the-fuck-in-there boat. No, not a monkey YOLO pusher, but a super forward position, aggressive positioning, fighting for territory type of ship. Now, if you've watched like my Marseille review, my Kremlin review, right, the more recent one, what I like to do whenever I review a ship that my Jean Bart review, whenever I review a ship that I think you should push very aggressively early to take a forward position, I like to do 3 consecutive games instead of 2, because I like to show that my claim on the playstyle of the ship is repeatable. 2 games in a row is what I typically like to do, because I think that's a more fair snapshot of how the ship performs. So maybe there's a small cherry picking in those 2 reviews, but we're not going like game 1 on the day, game 6 on the day to get 2 great games. So as you can see here, we're pushing in. This is what we're using the speed boost for. We are using the speed boost to get in there. Crossing relatively moderate open levels of ground to island top. The exact same thing you do in a Kremlin, the exact same thing you do in a Petro, but we have this insane engine boost. We can toggle it on for about 20 seconds at a time. I believe 15 seconds minimum action time. I typically use it for 20 to 40 seconds at a time, which gets you, anywhere from 4 to like 8 uses of it. And this is what I think the speed boost is very, very well utilized for, is going from rock A to rock B to rock C to rock D, or popping out from an island when people just would never have expected you to get in their face as fast as you can. Catching people unawares. Thor is kind of like, once it gets positioned, it is one of, I think, the hardest battleships to just deal with. So we're on 35 shell hits for 40,000 damage. The guns are basically junk, again, in this replay. The second reason why I definitely wanted to do 3 replays is the game you're looking at. We are looking at games like 2, 3, and 4, or maybe 3, 4, and 5 the day that I played these games. I played like 8 games. I won 7 in a row, lost an 8th, or something like that. So we're looking at 3 games in a row that happened midway through the games that I played. Now, of course, we have this radar to catch a Kirishima. If he's full health, we're not going to kill him, but we're able to get him killed for the allies. I mean, it's a good radar, 10 kilometers, over 30 seconds with the right build. But I played about 20 games, so you're looking at roughly my 20th game in Thor, and then you're going to look at 2 games immediately following this, and I've played, since recording this commentary, another 20 or so games in Thor, and range mod is mandatory on the ship, like you saw in the thumbnail. You are, in fact, a troll if you do not take range mod. It is not an option, it is not a preference. You are griefing to not run range mod on the ship. It's just that simple. You see there, very funny. I used the speed boost. Why did I use the speed boost there? Well, I used the speed boost to push up on the Shikishima, but I also used it to basically just outrun his turrets, and he couldn't shoot in time to catch my citadel. The ship also has kind of a troll citadel, so it's possible he just got griefed anyway. The reason why I'm getting a citadel there on Bourgogne, in case you're wondering, is not because I have a huge amount of AP pen. It's because the shells are outrageously fast. In order to Citadel Bourgogne, you need, yes, a lot of AP pen, which of course at 8 kilometers we have, but you need velocity to go through the armor before the shell can detonate and reach the Citadel. Bourgogne armor is very effective at slowing down shells that enter the casemate. You've got to go through torp protection, casemate, and then the Citadel. So even though Borg Citadel is out of the water, it's very thick, but more than that, it's spaced. Spaced and thick, which means you need velocity and pens. So one of the assets of Thor, of course, is that you have this crazy velocity, which can get you a Citadel on a ship like Borg that basically nothing other than like maybe Slava at this range, Tai Hong, a few others Musalan can get, which is kind of interesting. Now, of course, that's a double-edged sword, because having these insanely fast shells means when you shoot thin cruisers at close range, you are, in fact, just going to get overpens. You shoot a flat Jinan, Smolensk, this kind of ship at like 10 kilometers, and you have to hit water first to hit them. 7 torp hits. right? And this is what I'm trying to do every single game in Thor. I'm trying to dive an island early. I'm trying to position near the cap so I can radar. Exactly how you play your Petro is how you play Thor, but you just also get torpedoes, and you also get armor, and you also get battleship DCP, and you also get battleship healing, and you also get fire prevention. Now, obviously, you have nowhere near the dispersion, right? Petro Ledge mod is like 2-3 times more accurate than Thor, assuming you take reload mod like a troll. So it's not like replacing Thor. Thor does not replicate Petro's effectiveness on something like destroyers, right? Ledge mod Petro hits DDs with bow guns only for like 10k every time it radars them. Now, of course, there's no improved dispersion on destroyers when you're in a battleship, so you will sometimes radar a destroyer in Thor and hit them for like 8k with the front guns, and you can do that twice. It's very funny. You always get 2 shots off, even if your guns weren't aimed perfectly the first time. So when you radar destroyers, you're like competent. You're basically like, it's like getting radar by a Stalin or a Petro. It's close. And then bow tanking, it's exceptionally tanky. The deck is quote unquote only 40. So you're not like bow tanking, the PVO airstrike. You're not Kremlin tanky bow in, obviously. You have low HP pool for tier 10. But you have solid platings. You have solid armor profile if you're perfectly bow in at close range. We'll kind of get into that more. The ship has some weird shell trappers. But this is what I'm trying to do every single game in Thor. And it's what you're going to see me do in all 3 of the replays we're going to look at, which is I'm going to just island hop, island hop, island hop, island hop. You can play it this way, the way that I'm playing it in this review. You can play it like a kiting, fidget spinning cunt. The choice is simply yours. And we're entering replay 2 of 3. And we got a flank spawn, which is excellent. Heavy island spawn, excellent. This is kind of the perfect map for Thor. And again, I am going to repeat exactly what I just did last game. Now, there is a sub, there is a carrier. But let's talk about carriers, guys. Thor has arguably the best battleship anti-air in the game. Now, Wisconsin with Def AA active, I would say, is superior. But Thor's bog standard anti-air is insanely good. It is not prevent yourself from getting dropped like a Whiskey Def AA can, but it is get dropped once, maybe twice. If an enemy Hakura you, what is this carrier here? Malta. If this Malta wants to send an entire full squadron at me, he will drop me twice, but he will lose every single plane. So you have CV deterrence. You don't have squad wipe anti-air, but you have deterrence. The carrier is going to destroy his long-term ability to play the game if he goes for Thor. Now, you can see here on the map, I have quite a bit more gun range because this was the game that I swapped over to range mod, and I just want you to watch. I hoped you were paying attention. I know a lot of you guys just listen to this like a podcast almost, which is totally fine. But I hope that you go back, if you were just listening to this, and watch the salvos I was printing in that first game. And like I said, that first game was very indicative, very standard Thor dispersion. And I want you to pay attention to not just the average salvo that I'm going to get this game, but like every other salvo I get this game that has just, if you watch the stream, you know what the term I use for it. I'm misaiming horrendously, but both of these salvos that I fired at this Columbo, I've misaimed and he's dodged. Both of these salvos have been better than any single salvo I had in that first replay we just looked at. So here we go. I'm on the island. I haven't had to use speed boost, so I haven't used it. I'm sitting on the rock, right? And now what does the enemy team do here? To get me off of this rock, what do they do? Absolutely nothing. So we're going to take our position on this rock. There's absolutely nothing you can do. You can't push the ship. The ship is unpushable. It's unpushable in I would argue, a literally unique way by battleship standards. Something like a Libertad, you can sprint up, and if a Libtard takes a position like this, you can sprint up and drive by it with torps. If a Kremlin takes this position, you can drive by it with torps. Think of any bow tanking battleship. We're using autopilot to get unstuck here. Here's a really good tip for you guys. Really good hot tip. If you get beached on a rock, pull up the minimap and use autopilot. Autopilot will magically get you unstuck when you think you're permanently stuck on a rock. So we've reached one of these rocks. The sub is here. And what we're really hoping for now is that our team can kill the sub. I don't want to move up yet. I don't want to get totally isolated by myself. Can you see here, my Shima is actually literally physically AFK. My Stalingrad's in spawn. My Shikishima's in spawn. So, I want to get up... Literal Elbing Dispersion. Better than Elbing Dispersion. I predicted he would turn away, and he turned in, so my salvo goes high. Interesting, isn't it? Very fascinating, guys. Huh, so all 3 salvos have been better than any of my 10 salvos last game. And one of my 3 salvos this game has had literal Elbing plus Dispersion. That is 3 shells. My mouse cursor is touching 3 AP shells. That is 3 AP shells. Okay. So, all 4 salvos better than any of my 10 from last game. 2 with literal Elbing Dispersion with multiple turrets. Okay, so we have taken out the Smolensk. The only crossfire, quote-unquote, is the sub. But I'm just going to bide my time. And this is what you want to do in the Thor, guys. You want to just bide your time. And another excellent dispersion front gun salvo. Very interesting. You just want to bide your time. You want to sit on this rock. We don't need to push just yet, right? The Wisconsin wants to take this fight. We're going to give him the fight. We're perfectly bow in. And what did I say? When you're perfectly bow in at close range, you are quite tanky. And so here's what we're going to do. That's lock-on bug dispersion, by the way. You can ignore that one. That's just a straight-up bug. We're going to go back, and I'm going to get dark. You see me putting my throttle into neutral, and we're going to get dark. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm immediately going to go full speed, and I'm going to rip the engine boost. And I am going to pop out on this guy faster than almost really any battleship can. You know, maybe like an Incomp or a Vincent with speed boost up can do this. But, Battleship 1.8 Sigma dispersion, guys. 1.8 Sigma battleship dispersion, please trust. Range mod is not broken. Trust. And so we're going to stack every single fucking shell on this flat Wisconsin for over half of his ship deleted. Sorry, we missed 1 shell. And so there you go. We use the speed boost to like, kind of like, you know, it's almost like jiggle peeking. It's almost like quick peeking in an FPS game. And so we're going to use the speed boost to sprint out, catch this Wisconsin. I can't even speak. I'm apoplectic thinking about this dispersion ridiculousness. We sprint out, and not only can we sprint out and catch this Wisconsin, he was totally caught unawares, but we can keep the speed boost going for just a little bit longer. We're going to send torps through the gap. That's really just to prevent the Wisconsin from coming out, by the way. As you can see, the Napoli was easily clearing of that. But so there you go, right? We've managed to use the speed boost, and we've still got a good bit left, right? I've still got 83 seconds left. I used less than a minute. And what's this? We don't see the Napoli. We don't see the Colombo. We pop out, and it's another, like, hitting every shell front gun moment. Very interesting dispersion when you run range mod. Very interesting dispersion. So, we're able to pop out. We're able to radar the Napoli, just in case my teammates can shoot him. You know, his smoke's going to end by the time this radar ends, right? And now we're on the next rock. Now, I'm on this rock. What do they do to get me out of this rock, guys? What do the red ships here? You know, there's a Wisconsin, a healthy Wisconsin, a half-health mech, a full-health Napoli, a half-health Colombo. What do they do if they want to get me unstuck from this island? What do they do? And again, the answer is they literally can't do anything. Because the only guys on their team with torps, Napoli and Mecklenburg, you know, these are ships. You know, Napoli is a ship that the only way it can really decisively win a trade against a battleship is to run it over and torp it. Can't do that. And so we're going to do, again, the exact same thing, right? We're going to catch this Napoli totally fucking unawares. We're going to catch him completely unawares. Now, I'm using the speed boost too early because the speed boost doesn't really effectively make you accelerate from 0 to full very well, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from 0 to like 25 knots with this speed boost almost instantaneously. Now, remember, guys, torpedoes recently passed us when the Napoli was sailing right to left. What does that mean? That means his left side torpedoes are unavailable. If he wants to torpedo me, he has to use his right side torps. What else do we know about Napoli? The torp launch angles are good, but not when you're at close range pushing someone. You have to go very flat to use the torp. So I'm going to go ridiculously flat to this Napoli, way flatter than I have to, right? I could stop turning now, but I'm not. The reason why I'm continually going flat to him is because if he wants to torp me, he has to go perfectly flat. Now, unfortunately, my Shika, well, fortunately, but unfortunately for my damage, my Shikishima hits a good shot that I wasn't really mentally prepared for it to happen, and so I didn't need both racks of torp. So I'm now going to exercise Biblical Greed. And of course, what makes these torps extra wicked, obviously, is you have the Swedish, the European torp DD launch angles, the super skinny torps, which makes them the best torps by far in a brawl. And so we're going to go in here, and I click my mouse, and what happens? I click my mouse, basically the frame of the game, when the torpedoes get disabled, which is very, very tragic. Instead of killing the Colombo, we go down because, we go down anyway, but we don't manage to get the torps out. 0.1 seconds before they're launching a secondary knocks them. Very sad. And Thor does lose torpedoes tubes very, very often. Basically, like any high caliber HE that hits the side breaks a torp tube. This ship is very much a ship that would be significantly worse just a few months ago. In the days of permanent module destruction. In the days where getting a module disabled meant the reload reset. Thor would have been very dubious as a brawler, but it's not really a brawler. It doesn't slug with people at close range. It just runs out and kills them. The Thor's burst damage is kind of insane. I mean, this game we got 200,000+ damage in 6 minutes of action, and we got most of that in just like basically one push. And that's just kind of what Thor does, but it also brings cap contesting radar coverage. And this is why, I see people kiting in this ship, spamming a lot of HE, fidget spinning the torps. Every time I see it, I just put my head in my hands and I just say, what the fuck are we doing? The ship's best, again, the ship is very tanky, perfectly bowing at close range. Kiting negates that. The speed boosted is amazing to island hop. Using it to just run and dodge shells at long range negates the effectiveness of the speed boost. The torpedo tubes just guarantee that anyone pushing or anyone you push dies and does almost 0 damage in trade to you. Spamming it like a fidget spinner just doesn't really benefit you. You have this incredibly good duration radar with decent damage output every time you use the radar. Kiting negates it. I mean, every time I watch someone kite in this boat, it's just like, it actually causes me physical pain. Shikishima played well. I mean, it was very much a team diff, obviously. There's no way we would ever lose that game. I probably could have been AFK and we would still have won. And we unfortunately missed out on a kill on Colombo due to the torps being knocked. But this is the burst damage, right? I mean, like, we only fired probably 5 or 6 salvos that hit because I wasted 2 salvos on Colombo and I wasted 2 on Smolensk. I mean, I only fired, 5 or 6 salvos and then just ran in and got torps out. And nothing can push this thing. Like, nothing can dislodge this thing when it's on a rock. Even a carrier. Like, even a carrier can't dislodge this thing. Because it has crazy anti-air and because CV torpedoes deal non-citadel damage now. You go bowing on a rock, and the best, the old school deterrent to a Thor would be a CV comes in from the side and drops torps on it. Doesn't matter anymore. You shoot down all the planes, you get torped once or twice, and you heal the torp damage. If a destroyer a destroyer can't push you. You can't be YOLO'd even by a destroyer because you have torps. Like, you have radar, so you can't be, smoke rushed. You have radar, so people can't, smoke up in your mouth and farm you. You have torp, so even if a DD tries to YOLO torp you, as we'll see in replay 3 out of 3, even if a DD tries to YOLO you, you fucking shit torps into their mouth. And these are they're just by far the best torps on any battleship in the game. I'm legitimately wondering if a cruiser has as good of torps as these. Like, the cruisers in tier 10 that rival Thor for torps would be Brisbane, which has significantly worse torpedoes. They do less damage. They have worse range. They have single launch ability. Brisbane has slightly worse torps. And then Jinan has, better torps against cruisers and battleships, but it doesn't have the ability to hit destroyers. I mean, like, these are candidate for the best torps full stop in the game. 16 15-kilometer torps, 70 knots, 1.5 km detect that hit for 17.5. These are candidates for the literal best torps on any ship in the game. Imagine if your gear, bro, if your gearing had these torps, imagine if your gearing could launch 8 torps per side with a 1.5 km range nerf. Yeah, you'd play the fuck out of gearing, wouldn't you? With Holland launch angles. And that's the secret sauce too, like you saw with that Mecklenburg. That guy was perfectly bow in. Look at the damage. He was perfectly bow in, and he took 40,000. He took 3 torps from one launch, perfectly bow in. The only kind of torps that are ever better in a brawl are like the British ones, the single launch ones. Like even Genan torps against battleships are worse in a brawl than these because again you have the skinny launches. You can stack torps on the bow. This guy got basically dev struck. You know, if that torp if one more torp had hit him, you know, he lived on 3,000 health with an 85,000 health HP pool. He basically got dev struck to a single launch from a battleship. 3 out of 4 torps hit him perfectly bow in, right? The first launch of torps on Napoli hit 4 out of 4. Like, it's crazy. Like, he died, right? The 3 torps killed him, but he hit 4 out of 4 at a 10-degree angle, right? It's just crazy, dude. So what do you do if Thor is dug in on a rock at close range to your team? Well, if that's a Kremlin, you drive by him. A lot of ships can drive by a Kremlin. Nothing could drive by Thor. A lot of DDs can YOLO a Kremlin. No DD can YOLO Thor. A lot of gunboats or light cruisers can push into like 8 to 10 kilometers, smoke up in its mouth, and burn it down. Can't do that to Thor because it has a radar. What do you do? What do you do to the ship when it's dug in, bow in the middle of the map? There's nothing you can do. Carriers don't even dislodge. Like I never thought I'd see the day where like we would have a ship with this pushing ability and the best AA in the game. It basically is. Like I said, Def AA infused Wisconsin anti-air is better. But aside from that, I've had games in Thor with 60, 80 planes shot down. Squad wiped, D-plane to Nakimov, D-plane to Hakuryu, D-plane to Midway, D-plane to Malta. Going for this thing just cost them all of their planes. And of course, you run 2.8 scale, which synergizes insanely well with this radar. The radar, by the way, has a bad cooldown. And so running 2.8 scale makes it even more outrageously good. The default reload is, I believe, 150 seconds. And I think I'm only buffing it by running the signal for 5% consumable reload time. But anytime planes hover on Thor gets more benefit out of 2.8 skill than like the vast majority of battleships, because most battleships just care about getting DCP and heal back. Thor also has a radar that's on a very, quote-unquote balance. Not balanced at all, by the way. Quote-unquote balanced by a 2.5 minute instead of a 2-minute reload. Which is good, at least. Like, I would, maybe it could be 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, but, it's better than nothing. And so we're pushing in. I played this way every single game, by the way. First 10 to 20 games, first 10 games in Thor, I tried the kite fidget spin. Completely dog shit. Cringe as fuck. I wanted to kill myself playing like that. And so the, most recent 20 to 30 games I've played in Thor have been this aggro pushing using speed boost to island hop and try to radar things. And I've been running range mod for almost 20 games now. And it's just, you're going to see it again. You're going to see it again in this game, like just how outrageously better the dispersion is. And we're going to do it again. We're going to use the speed boost to just get out there. My Letarib is taking a fight on the Smolensk. Now, what did I say earlier? Smolensk is made out of literal paper. We have basically the fastest shells in the game at this range. We have to hit the water first. So that means we aim wrong. If we had slow shells, we could aim slightly out of the waterline or maybe just at the waterline. We will never Citadel him at this range and angle unless the shells arm via the water. So that is why you see me aiming too low. You see here, if I was aiming perfectly waterline, I would aim just a bit higher up here, right? Because he's kiting away. I'm aiming deliberately too low, slightly, because we're trying to get some shells to land in the water. There you go. We got most of our shells to drop short. We did get a somewhat favorable dispersion, obviously, so we're able to take out the Smolensk. I actually trolled that too, if you noticed. I didn't wait for my rear turret to clear. I was too thirsty to try to save my teammate. So, Smolensk is down. We cut the speed boost immediately, so that speed boost has enabled me to get out there, right? Most battleships would probably kill the Smolensk. I'm not going to deny that, but think about the difference in Thor, guys. There. I'm able to use the speed boost to go from like 15 to 25 knots and sprint out to catch him. But even if I don't catch him, right? What happens if he kills my destroyer like he did? What happens if I whiff? What happens if I miss aim? What happens if I get lock on bug dispersion? What happens if I'm a troll and run reload instead of range mod and don't hit a shell? Can't smoke up. He's caught 9 kilometers from a 45 knot battleship. And I have radar. The radar on this ship, it's perplexing. I'm just going to say it's perplexing. It's very odd. Why does it have it? Like, you could make the argument with a ship like Rhode Island. Now, Rhode Island is insanely broken. Arguably, in many ways, I would almost say more broken than Thor. Because Rhode Island is, like, literally the best ship in the game, almost in tier 10 at radaring and killing destroyers. But then it's like an HE spamming cruiser, and then it tanks like a battleship, almost. But, you know, you could at least make the case with Rhode Island that you have low caliber guns and bad armor, right? Giant superstructure, overmatchable bow and stern. You can at least make the case that Rhode Island is just like a super juiced up cruiser. And so it gets some cruiser abilities like stealth and speed and a radar. But Thor is just like thoroughly a battleship. I mean, you have battleship caliber guns and good range and high shell velocity and good AP pen and good shell damage, right? I mean, also that's another thing Wargaming does. You, as I'm sure you guys have noticed, is like everything with 406s just magically gets better damage than Montana, always and forever now. It's just a new trend, right? Gone are the days where like 406s do like high 12, right? Like GK 406s. You know, Montana is now like the benchmark. Same thing with, you know, 457 millimeter guns, right? Like gone are the days where Yamato's like 14,500 damage was considered good. So there you go. We're stacking shells again. Range mod moment. Now there is a Paulo Emilio around us, and guys, what do you guys think? Apollo Emilio, a ship with 6-kilometer torps and a fuel smoke. The entire point of his ship is to run at a battleship, use his incredible speed to catch the battleship even if it turns away, and use his incredible smoke screen to stay dark so he doesn't receive damage until he gets proxy spotted at 2 kilometers. What does he do? Are there any like tacticians in the comment section? What does Paulo Emilio do when this thing is on his flank? Oh, that's right. He doesn't play the. Oh, I forgot. Duh, I forgot. He doesn't play the game. My bad. Okay, it's coming back to me now. And so that's what he's done. He's spawned on a flank. You see where he is? He just got spotted again. I was playing like kind of cautious because I was a little afraid he would be like on a rock being a freak. In case you're wondering why I was playing a little bit passive there, a little cautious. He's on the other side of the map because he's not retarded. As you can see, he... Lock on bug dispersion again. He doesn't do anything to me. There's nothing he could do, and he's eventually going to come back, and you're going to see just how fucking comedic it is. And so we're just kiting into their spawn. The temptation here would be to turn around and push into B, because this Montana is basically wasting my time, right? But he's not really hitting any shells on me. You know, if this guy could aim a bit better, I would maybe want to disengage. But also, our team isn't doing, like, that great. We don't have the greatest map position. And most importantly, we have 0 crossfire. You see that we have a Brest and Chapayev in C. The rest of my team is on the D line. And so, this Svea, this Johan de Witt, right? We really want to be in a position to have a crossfire. And there you go. Range mod just giving you the craziest dispersion ever. That's kind of like the biggest thing that I noticed range mod does on ships like Thor and Preussen and GK. Yes, it improves the overall dispersion of your salvo. Now, what's interesting is range mod allegedly is only supposed to really improve your vertical dispersion. It just doesn't. There's probably some spaghetti code there. Um, anyone who's played around with range mod as nearly as much as I have, you know, I've probably run range mod on thousands of games on ships that people would say you're a troll to run range mod on. The more you run range mod, the more you just become like, I don't know, like a range mod truther, basically, where you realize that there's just certain ships that are objectively correct. And there's kind of like a formula. Really, there's like you don't really even have to think. There really is like a legit formula for range mod. There's effectively 6 questions that you ask yourself. And if you answer yes to 5 or 6, you take range. If you answer yes to 3 or 4, it's a preference. And if you answer yes to 1 or 2, you never take range. And they're yes or no questions, really simple. Do I mostly shoot AP that doesn't overmatch 32? Yes or no? Is my dispersion without range mod bad? Yes or no? Is my turret traverse like annoying? Yes or no? Is my base reload good, therefore getting diminishing returns out of running reload? Yes or no? Is my base range like annoyingly limited? Yes or no? If I buff the range beyond my base range, is my new base range like actually usable? Look at this dispersion. Like, it's basically a straight line. Basically 0 vertical dispersion on this guy, as you can see. It's wild. Like, the salvos that range mod induce, it just doesn't make any logical sense to me. Because, you know, allegedly, what range mod is supposed to do, in case you guys are wondering, the known stated benefit of range mod is vertical dispersion is set. Okay, so if at your base range in Thor of 20 something kilometers, if you have, I'm just making up a number, I'm not looking at ship tool right now, if you have 100 meters of vertical dispersion at 20 kilometers and you buff via range mod, your new range becomes 24 kilometers, then you just will still have 100 meters of vertical dispersion at 24 kilometers. And so the math wizards can kind of figure out that it scales, right? So, like, at every range leading up to your old base range, your vertical dispersion will be, like, 10%, like, significantly better, right? Better enough to notice on a lot of ships. But that doesn't really seem to be the end of the story. Like I said, I've run range on, like how do these salvos happen? This is battleship dispersion with 1.8 sigma. And they happen all the time where, like, your turrets will just print a 0 dispersion salvo. Like, and these salvos will effectively never occur with reload mod, and they will occur like every other salvo with range mod. So, we're turning in towards Montana. We're showing in belly. It's a little risky. But, one of the things with this ship, the Citadel's a bit troll, but more than that, I mean, as you guys have probably clearly seen, sits really low in the water. This is another, like, kind of trend I've noticed with a lot of these modern BBs. Like, Loria has this. They just sit so low in the water that even if you theoretically have the ability to Citadel them, it's just like, can you hit a shell on that minuscule Citadel, right? They're just super low in the water, and half your salvo kind of gets gobbled up by the ether a lot of the time. So we're pushing in and we're hard detected. That means that sub, Paulo, or J. Merker is in my mouth, and I'm going to hit an early radar. Now, I've early radared, right, guys? So all he has to do is run at me, perfectly bow in to mitigate my damage, wait for the radar to end, fuel smoke, and torp me. All right, let's see it. Is he smart? Okay, he's going perfectly bow in. If he turns north, he dies at Chapai breast, so he's committing to the YOLO on me. Okay, look at that. Okay, he's going perfectly bow in to mitigate my damage. Right? Perfectly bow in to mitigate my damage. He still takes 5,000 with the secondaries and the guns. Like I said, basically when you radar DDs, it's like getting caught by a Petro radar. And I'm not going to get another salvo off. And so now the radar ends. Look at that. He smokes up and uses the bloom spotting to know where I'm going. But here's the problem, guys, is I'm going 40 knots. I'm going 40 knots. And I have 8 gearing torps per side. So I just run away, going, as you can see, locked in a turn, still north of 30 knots. And I shit torpedoes into his smoke, so he hits 10,000 torpedo damage. And that torpedo damage then causes, the breast then hits him for a couple thousand more. Most importantly, he's had to rep, right? Most importantly, he's had to burn a rep. And I get the kill but I break a gun and his engine. So even if, like, he had, even if he had the HP pool to run up to me, like, let's pretend no one damaged him, and right now he was at full health minus the torp. Well, what's super funny is the torp flooded him, and he needed to rep the flood to keep his speed high. And so then he doesn't, normally Paulo Emilio saves its DCP for the last second, but he can't do that. So I'm able to get angled. A torp that physically misses me counts as a hit. We love it. It's just hilarious. It's just absolutely hilarious. His entire ship, the entire premise of his ship, is YOLO at 55 knots while dark, because battleships go like 20 to 30 knots. Battleships don't get vision. If they get vision, it's just a hydro. But no. No, this battleship, it's probably like the most YOLO torp immune ship in the game. Again, you see like crazy dispersion salvos occurring, like Slava-esque dispersion salvos constantly occurring, because we are running range mod, and there is some true sorcery at work with Wargaming. You notice I've spammed a lot of HE, because Montana's been across the map. HE spam in this boat is okay. It's okay. You're kind of like on the level of, I don't know, like a Willem de Ursta, but you don't have as good a fire starting. You have okay, like a bit over, maybe 120,000 HE DPM, okay dispersions. So, like, you can spam HE, obviously at a kiting Montana. This guy's still kiting. I don't know what he's kiting from, but he's still kiting, right? Obviously at this range, like, there's just kind of no point in shooting AP. A good salvo might be like 6 to 10k, but as long as I could get a single permafire, that salvo's worth 10 plus k, right? So that's why you just see me spamming HE. Normally I think you're shooting like 80% AP out of this boat. But you definitely want to run gun feeder. You want to use the HE, at this kind of range, right? This guy's coming in. We're trying to figure out what he's up to. It's another Slava salvo with range mod. Just hilariously precise guns when you put range mod on it. Much like Preussen. People who watch like my stream know, there were we did this together. This was a live experiment. It was legitimately blowing people's minds, like, because I streamed these games, right? The 8 games I played the day of recording this, that these replays are taken from. We streamed all 8 games, and so people were watching the standard dispersion with reload mod that was occurring in the first 3 games, right? The first 3 games I played the day of recording this were with reload mod. And then basically everyone was saying, like, I don't care how good the torps are. I don't care, like, how good the engine boost is. I don't care how good the radar is. I'm never going to play this boat. Probably had, like, that was basically the prevailing opinion of the spectators, is, like, the boat is unplayably obnoxious because the guns are just so junk. Now, of course, like, I would argue that it's balanced, right? But, it's frustrating, right? It's undeniably frustrating. Just another 0 dispersion salvo. There we go. It was undeniably frustrating. So precise that I stack on his turret for ricochets. Yeah, so then we ran range mod, and it was just literally night and day. It's night and fucking day, like it is on GK, like it is on Preussen. I changed my tune on this boat the second I put range mod on it. I thought that this boat was very strong, very toxic, but the guns were junk, and I kind of didn't enjoy playing it. And with range mod, it's very strong, very toxic, and I enjoy playing it because the guns are cracked. So it's just another GK Preussen special. Bungo putting in the work. Wow, duo carry went crazy that game. Very comedic, obviously. There's literally nothing he can do. Even if the radar's down, he's still always going to die, right? Like, the thing with Paulo Emilio is sometimes it dies when it YOLOs. But, like, even if I had no radar, all I do is kite 30 degrees to him, and when he gets proxy spotted at 2 kilometers, I just shit torps into his mouth and he dies anyway. Right? Like, there's nothing you can do. And, as you can see, the HE spam is very competent. It's not the best. This guy couldn't really aim, but, it's fine, right? We got a 0 dispersion salvo on this guy. Unfortunately, he only had 20,000 health. Same thing with Johan. Unfortunately, he only had 20,000 health, We probably would have cracked 250k. If those guys were both full HP, I'll tell you right now, those would have both been dev strikes, basically. We would have dev struck Johan with that dispersion, and we would have taken 40 or 50k off Valp with that dispersion. So, kind of sad they just didn't have enough health to tank the hits and far more damage. But Boat is just crazy strong. Again, if you just gotta, you just stop playing like a normal battleship. It's not a normal battleship. I mean, I don't know what Wargaming has to do to get people to play Bow in. I mean, it's a very, very not a rant, not a rant. But what does Wargaming have to do to get people to play Bow in? Your armor's excellent up close Bow in, and it's junk at long range or kited, and people kite. You have a 10-kilometer radar that kind of only works if you push a cap, and people kite. You have God tier anti-air that your team never benefits from because you never get airstruck by Dutch ships or dropped by a CV if you kite. So we kite. We kite in the ship that can't be dislodged via planes. Okay. The speed boost is like custom designed to island hop. And we kite. 2 guns in the front, one in the rear. And we kite. Good base reload. So, like, we want to shoot guns on cooldown, which we can't do if we kite. And we kite. Like, I get it. You can fidget spin the torps when you kite, but, like, every other aspect of the boat is designed to push. And we're kiting. Why are we kiting? Why are we kiting? Why are we kiting in our battleships that are just, like, designed like this? Like, 3 times tankier bow in up close than kiting at mid-range. Why are we kiting? Radar useless at long range. Why are we kiting? Like, very fast shells, but we can't citadel battleships at long range. Why are we kiting? Why are we kiting, bro? Get, like, 2 minutes total of speed boost, custom designed to island hop. Why are we kiting? Get in the fucking game! Alright, we've settled down a little bit. Equipment, this is the build, guys. This is the build. But the Thor concealment is so good. If you take a full concealment spec, you can get down to like 12 Guess when that matters. Guess? Guys, can you give me the scenario where 12-3 detect in Thor matters instead of 13-7? Yeah, little Timmy in the back. What's that, Timmy? Speak up for the class? When I'm kiting. Shut the fuck up! Stop! 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 Get some fucking help! We're not kiting! Stop it! Okay, so, Radar mod is a no-brainer, obviously. Radar mod is a no-brainer. Cold ECP mod, now hear me out, okay? I'm the biggest cold ECP advocate. However, what I've noticed in Thor is these turrets have a paper problem, bro. We'll look at the armor viewer, but they just get knocked a lot. I think you even noticed it happen in a couple of those replays. I just, like, would randomly lose the turret to, like, the first AP salvo that hit it. And because you play Bowin a lot, I think you can make a very strong case that, like, maybe you forego cold ECP mod. Now, I'm just a cold ECP mod addict. It covers 2 CV drops. It covers a sub ping and you can turn out immediately. It covers, like, an airstriker spamming you. There's so many values to cold ECP mod, so I still do lean to it. However, I do think Thor is one of those ships, you know, because you play it kind of like a Kremlin or a Petro, but Kremlin never loses turrets, so it's like you take cold ECP on Kremlin. But Thor loses turrets a lot, and I think you can be enticed into running standard main armaments mod 1. I think you're not trolling to forego cold ECP on this. I think you can feel kind of safe running that. Radar mod is a no-brainer. The ship has a 25-second base reload on the guns, 25-second base duration on the radar. When we take radar mod, we get 30 seconds. So we basically always get 2 shots off, aiming, obviously. Prop, I think for sure. Now, there is a bit, I think, of a this is one of the only battleships in the game where I think there's a really good case to be made that you take steering gears. You know, you take prop on everything that can take prop and doesn't have a speed boost. So number one, you have this very unique speed boost that you get to use like 5 or 6 times. So you can basically use the speed boost like as a proxy for prop mod in addition to the advantages the speed boost already gives you. So having this type of engine boost does somewhat offset giving up prop. But the other thing too, if that was all there was to it, I'd say you still take prop mod. If this had a normal battleship maneuvering, you would still take prop. But guys, Thor has an 840. Why? Nobody knows, okay? Nobody knows. To be clear, no one fucking knows why this ship turns like a Hindenburg. But the rudder shift is terrible, and the turning circle is very good. Okay, the rudder shift by battleship standards is normal. This is a normal BB rudder shift, but this is a heavy cruiser turning circle. So, if we take rudder shift mod, we can get our rudder shift down to about 12.8, 12.9 seconds. With 840 turning, you absolutely will turn faster and notice it. So, the ship has one of the very few battleships where, like, cold DCP mod is not a no-brainer. I think you're justified to take this. Also, you have torps, so keeping torps from going down. Maybe, right? What if I'm running this in replay 2? In the second replay we looked at, remember when my torps got knocked 0.1 seconds? A frame of the universe before I launched them? Maybe they don't, right? So, one of the only BBs where this is a real choice. One of the only BBs where this is a real choice. I'm running this every time. I mean, you can. I mean, by all means, take full conceal. Sure. I really don't see the point. I legitimately just don't see the point. The ship can get anywhere it needs to go completely safe. You don't need the concealment to early position. The way I play the ship, I'm either dark on a rock or voluntarily spotted on a rock. Again, full conceal is going to matter if you're a kiting cunt. And this is just again, it's mandatory. I don't say this about a lot of battleships. It's mandatory. Thor fulfills all 5 out of 6. It's a no-brainer range mod choice. You know, again. Let's go through them again, okay? There are 6 questions you ask when you are debating between reload and range. On a USN battleship, you always take aiming, no matter what. On other battleships, your choices are basically always reload or range, unless you're full secondary build, right? Although Torp Reload mod was very funny last season in clan battles. But anyway, debate is reload or range mod. Question number 1, am I mostly shooting AP that is below 460 millimeters? Yeah. Aside from that last replay, I basically never shot high explosive, as you probably saw, right? I'd say this is an 80 to 90% AP shooter. It is low caliber guns, right? So yes, you answer yes to the first question. Is my dispersion bad? Yes. As you could see in that first of 3 replays, it is terrible when you take reload mod. Question number 2 is yes. Do I have bad turret traverse? Yes, actually very bad. Now, it's not... Okay, every BB should have this turret traverse. Okay, safe space. All right, we got that out of the way. Okay, 40-second base turret traverse with your reload is bad, right? I play ships like Montana or Wisconsin that have a 30-second reload and a 40-second turret traverse with the build. If you take reload mod on Thor, you're going to have like a 46-second turret traverse on a 22-second reload. Double the 180 time as your reload. That is terrible. That is really bad, guys. I mean, that is pushing Yamato level bad. Because again, it's not how fast the turrets turn. It's the multiplicative of how fast they turn compared to the reload, right? 35-second, 40-second turret traverse on Montana, totally fine. 40-second turret traverse on Rhode Island feels like shit, right? Also, this ship, as you noticed in that last replay when Paolo rushed me, what did you notice? My turrets were barely staying on target. If I took reload mod, they wouldn't. When you lock in a turn and you don't run range, if you run reload, the turrets don't stay on target. So, number 3, do I have bad turret traverse? Yes, I do. Do I have a good base reload? Yes, absolutely. 25-second base reload. Why does this matter? because the lower your base reload, the less benefit you gain from buffing it. Again, that caveat being you're an AP shooter, right? DPM is DPM. If you're in a Conqueror and you shoot 90% HE, a 1 second better reload, you can make use of that because it's just click, 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 click. You almost never shot hold in Conqueror. You rarely shot hold in Thunderer, right? You shot hold all the time in Thor. Anytime you shot hold for 3 seconds, you've blown every advantage of reload mod at the cost of bad turret traverse, at the cost of bad dispersion. So yes, base reload. If this was a base reload of 30 seconds, I would probably debate it. Now we'd be in debatable territory, right? We'd be answering yes to 4 of the 6 questions. Question number 5, do I have bad range? No. Right? This is the only question of these 6 that Thor would answer no to. Your base range is quite good. Your base range is like 21.5 kilometers. We can't see it because of this, right? It's about 21.5 kilometers. It's good. It's fine. So you answer no to question 5. But question 6 is, when I buff my range with range mod, is my new gun range usable? Basically what this means is like, can I hit a shell at my new base range? You have the fastest shells in the game, basically. So yes, the answer is yes. Like, the extra range that range mod is giving you is legitimately usable. You will hit anything you aim at if you know how to aim. The flight time is insanely short, right? So this is the math, right? If you can say yes to 5 or 6, you take range mod with no questions asked. If you answer yes to 3 or 4, you are now entering preference territory. What makes you feel more comfortable? If you answer yes to 2 or fewer, you never take range, right? So that is basically the math, right? That is effectively the math on range mod, because I don't know if I've ever like really concretely explained it in a video. I might have talked about it. People who watch like the stream hear me rant about this all the time, but that is the math on range mod. Thor is a no shit candidate for range mod. You're answering yes to 5 out of 6 questions, and the boat is way better with range. Captain Spec, you do have a little bit of an option now. Definitely you want Gunfeeder because you have, like, basically this is USN 406s. And so shooting HE at destroyers, does deal a decent amount more damage. It's worth swapping to, but also you're going to spam HE. You want the ability to spam HE. However, Consumable Specialist is really nice because it's quite a bit of time off of the radar, right? With the build, I'm at like 140-second radar cooldown, so we are able to take, almost 12 seconds off the radar, but I think I prefer Gunfeeder. 2.8 skill is mandatory. If you're not taking this in random battles, I honest to God just don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, I truly don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're not taking Brisk. I mean, I'm a Brisk hater. I get it. There's people who love Brisk. It's the most copium skill in the entire fucking game. The people who take Brisk on all of these types of ships are the people who have just never played without the Brisk, or actually, like, tried to see if it matters. Again, in random battles, guys, okay? It just doesn't do anything for you. You're on a ship that doesn't die with a short reload, so, like, when are you dark? I don't know. Go ahead and take your fucking Brisk. Taking it over 2 point makes you a fucking ridiculous bot, though. If you want to take Brisk and 2.8 skill and give up something, right? You can give up ERE. I'm actually, I could be sold on that completely. I could be completely sold on giving this up because the ship has very low HP pool, so IRPR is a no-brainer. You get the heal to cooldown super quick fast. But you do run out of healable HP because one of the things Wargaming did on this battleship is it's one of the only battleships in the last 2 or 3 years that has a completely normal heal. Completely normal, 14% per heal, 50 pen, 10 sit, 80 cooldown. Totally bog standard BB heal. You love to see it. We haven't seen that shit in forever. So you could absolutely give up ERE. You could even go like a tank plus. You could give up both of these. You could take like Furious. You could slap this on to turret traverse. You could get a little silly and goofy with it if you wanted to. Whatever. Take Vigilance to push. But again, I think you're usually on a rock. I don't really value Vigilance that much on ships that play on rocks, but up to you. There's definitely some wiggle room. Concealment is not that important on this ship because if you're pushing, it's super tanky. Concealment just only matters when you're kiting, because when you kite in Thor, you're not very tanky. You don't have a lot of health. And if you have 13-7 or full tank plus, you have 15-5, 15 KMD tech, you're never getting dark, right? And then you're going to die. So let's look at the armor with that said. The armor is good and bad. This is why I say bow in your tanky, because holy shit. Bow into AP at close range. What is there to hit, boys? What is there to hit? Now, you get overmatched by 32, you can take big pen damage. But as you can see, the Citadel is basically a submarine. 300 frontal. So 32 overmatches can click your bow, but like non-32 overmatches, what do they hit? This is you. This is the profile to enemy shells at 12 kilometers when it's bow in. What is there? Now, here's the thing, guys. Watch what happens when the shells arc in more and more. What starts to be revealed? All of a sudden, these wings of the superstructure and the shell trapper. So at close range, there is no shell trap, right? At close range, even if you're slightly angled, there's basically no shell trap. When the shells start to arc in, that's when things become a problem. So when you're bowing in Thor and you're getting shot at like 15 to 20 km, all of a sudden it feels weird because it's like a dice roll. A shell will hit you in skip, a shell will hit you in pen, and it's the same shell hitting the same part of your boat practically. So when you kite, you're shooting all of your, right? The point is, when you're bowing, you're just surrendering to 2 turrets, you're going angled up, hull down on a rock, you're totally fine. When you are kiting in this thing, you are showing a lot. There's a lot to hit. The shell trappers come into play, the superstructure is long, right? People kind of don't talk about superstructure weaknesses correctly. What people typically do is they do this. They go, oh, it's not very big. Yeah, it's not very big, but it is long, and it is tall. And I hate that when we discuss bad superstructure weaknesses on battleships, it just comes down to how thick it is. That is not it, right? It's a big factor, especially bow in. But anytime you're slightly angled, the length and the height of the superstructure matters quite a bit. When you are kiting in Thor, there is a lot to smash. When you kite in Thor, if something like a Montana player just randomly clicks you in the middle of your ship, a quarter of it disappears. When you are perfectly bow in at 12 kilometers, that Montana hits you for like maybe 10k if he's lucky, right? So you play bow in, but no, everyone kites in it. It drives me up a fucking wall. Side plating, right? You have 70 upper belt, which is... as long as the Redditors are all gone, that is an asset. Yes, it is actually quite a nice asset to be immune to cruiser AP on your HE on your upper belt, be immune to destroyer AP on your upper belt. But as you can see, right, quite low in the water, the main hull. Big superstructure, though. This thing can get farmed by DDs quite easily. If you're angled or flat, like you're flat to a destroyer, this is a lot, man. This is a lot to hit. You look at like a super ship like Maine, the side profile on Thor is about the same size, right? Maine is way thicker, way easier to farm bow in. But a ship like Thor has a very long and tall superstructure. When it's flat to HE, it takes a lot of pen damage in the superstructure, right? Deck is 40, which is good, not insanely good, but I'm glad. I'm glad this isn't another 51 disaster class, because at least like the big damage airstrikes can pen it, at least like a lot of cruisers can get through 40, right? So that's at least something in the plus side, but 350 upper belt, or sorry, middle belt, which is, yes, good. Actually, guys, in case you didn't know, it actually is good to have armor. When you go flat, you take a full pen. Oh, no! But if we go down to the Citadel, the Citadel is not super well armored itself, right? Only 60. But in order to punch through that, you've got to get through 350 of pretty okay slope in the front, less slope in the middle. You got to get through 350 angled. What, in my experience, Thor takes Citadels, it's kind of like a Montana Citadel without the roof weakness, which is, to be clear, how Monty takes most of its Citadels, right? Most Montana Citadels enter the casemate and plunge in and clip the roof. Now, when Thor is at medium range, guys, look at, like, the window of error is so narrow. Because if a shell goes through the casemate and hits the Citadel roof, well, it's not overmatchable. It skips off. You just get a full pen. If it goes on the water line, well, it's going to have to go through water, 350, and then 60. So it's probably not going to have the pen for it. So you can take random Citadels in Thor. And, of course, if you turn in and show belly, you can get nuked. But that's about it. You don't take many sits in this thing. Rarely. Rarely takes a sit. It's like a Montana with the roof weakness remove. And if you play Montana, you know that most Citadels against Montana occur at medium range. Shells plunge in and clip the roof. So, yeah. that is it's a ship of all time. I'd say one of the most powerful, straight up powerful ships in the tech tree right now. Incredibly, incredibly good, incredibly good. I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, it's up there. It's up there with like it's not like a damage farmer per se. It's just a super high game impact ship. The burst damage output is insane. Speed boost to get in there. The crazy torps on both sides. Decent armor. The radar to catch people and kill them. The burst damage is crazy. I gotta say though, this line was cracked, boys. I skipped until the heels. Now the line is weird. Okay, if you're thinking of grinding the whole thing, what I will say is the line is weird. Chios is like a tier 7 St. Vincent. This ship is crazy, by the way. The guns are basically junk, but the torps are like outrageous. You can shoot the torps almost perfectly straight ahead. It really is like more scary to push this thing in tier 7 than a St. Vincent in tier 10. And then the line develops its identity at tier 8. Like this is the line. The line becomes apparent right here at tier 8. They're all basically the same ship. Just it's very much a North Carolina, Iowa, Montana situation. They're all very good. Tier 7 plus were all good, I thought. So I would even play the Chios, even though it plays nothing alike. It's kind of like a French situation there. It's a totally different ship. It has zero similarities to these, but it was quite good. I played like 3 games in it. I think I averaged like 180k in those 3 games. I was just brutalizing the entire enemy team, getting close range island maps and like torping the dog shit out of people. The torps go almost straight ahead. It's crazy. Um, yeah, very solid ship, honestly. Great line, worth actually grinding. I don't have experience on the tier 6 and below, but ammo is like 80% great, 10% trash. I don't know what this is, but yeah, it's a really strong ship. It's unfortunate. There's no reason this has a radar. I mean, there's just no fucking reason it has radar. This ship has like almost as good of guns as GK, right? GK 420s with range mod are slightly better than these guns with range mod, but this has the better reload. This has way better concealment, way better speed, way better handling, insanely cracked torpedoes, a better hull with worse armor, with worse HP pool. So it's like as survivable as GK, comparable guns, and then like you lose out on the hydro for a ridiculous speed boost, ridiculous torps, ridiculous radar. Like why? Why? Um, I don't think Wargaming knows, to be honest with you. So, one of the few battleships in recent times that has quite a few options. Options here, options here, options here, options here. I don't think there are options. I think it is objective correct to run range mod. Um, Someone will probably, who has never taken range mod a day in their life, will say that that's cope. Feel free to play a worse version of the ship, I guess. So, yeah, that'll do it for the incredible ramble session. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.